I'm happy to have you joining me today. I am doing a follow-up of a video on a Trans Am Firebird. It is a restoration project if you haven't been with me yet. However, this is part 2 and we are going to be getting the fuel system going. We are going to try and get this car running today. I have to get the fuel tank back in. I have to get the pump and everything, the cylinder, the whole assembly back in the tank. I'm also going to, the first thing I'm going to show you is cleaning out the injectors. So I have to get those injectors prepped for firing. They are plugged up, half of them don't fire, but we will get to that. So stick with me and let's go through the process and get this car taken care of. Alright, so I have you here, we're in the engine bay. We're going to work with the injectors and checking them. There is a very good chance I'm going to have to pull this intake off. I went to check one, and I'm going to check the rest of them on video, but I just wanted to make sure my equipment was working properly. What I have here is just a little 12 volt battery, no big deal. Sure, I could just 12 volt, power and ground that thing and it would click, but it's hard on the injectors to just give them straight power. They're better off pulsed. And this device here that I built is actually a device that can drive injectors, coils, whatever I need it to drive. And it's built out of a 555 timer and several other simple components. It's just a little electronic device that I made. So here's a injector that still fires. This is one that was just sitting in my toolbox. I always keep a test just to hook up to vehicles, whatever. You see I have it plugged in here. And all I'm going to do is hook up the ground to this little mechanism. These dials are for adjusting the speed of things. You can hear it's working loud and clear. Unplug it. Now I'll plug it into this injector. I can hear it. Barely. It wasn't making any noise before. So it did open up a little bit. Okay, so I got it working a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check all the injectors. If I can get them working just a little bit, I hear that one right now, then I can go ahead and put cleaner in this and fire it up on some cleaner. Wow. I guess the others aren't firing. They're clicking, but it's probably because of it trying to move and it can't quite move. Listen to this one. That's the only one that sounds like that. All the rest of them were quiet like that first one where I could barely hear them. Oh boy, I'm probably going to have to pull the intake. I am going to try it though because I do hear a little movement and they might open up. So I'll probably pressurize it first without firing it up, and I'll do it a little bit and I'll see if I can get it to get loud all of a sudden. If it doesn't get loud, crank it over and see if it ignites in one cylinder or not. And if it doesn't ignite, then I know there's not anything flowing through it and I can go ahead and just leave it on until I start hearing it click. But yeah, that's definitely a little bit of an issue. I just had to take the time and build myself a can so I could pressurize the system. The last time I did this, I worked at a shop and they had one of these cans where you put the cleaner. I'm going to try seafoam first here on this job. And you put the cleaner in the can, and then it goes through this tube with air pressure in the can, and then ends up in the fuel rail. When I do that, I'm going to fire the injector until I can get it to open. If I hear any fuel going out, I won't fire it for long, because I don't want to have it fill up the cylinder. If a little gets in there, that's fine, it'll clean it out. If a ton of it gets in there, it might cause a locking scenario. And depending on what happens, I may even pull plugs to do this, just so I can crank it over and make sure it doesn't have a hydro lock situation. So let's get started, pour this product in here, and try cleaning this system out. One drawback I have is I don't know how much pressure I'm going to pressurize this with, since I just made it quick out of a catch can that I had lying around. There it goes. I used this to tap the side of the injector and I got it to open up. There, got that one too. So that's the trick. Have it firing and sit there and tap at it, just like a starter, I suppose. Then I just let it run a little bit to make sure I have some fluid go through it. Now, this thing doesn't have exhaust on it, and I have this strange suspicion it's going to smoke like a bastard. So I need to be sure that I can open the garage door in a hurry if I have to. Will it even turn over, or will it just go clunk? Cranks over decently easy, and I heard it pop off a little bit, so that's a plus. Let's put a little more fuel pressure in here. So it's not firing off. I am going to give it a little bit of brake clean here. Give it a little booster, see if I can't get it running. Oh, it fired up. Doesn't exactly run real well, but it does fire up. So if I can get it to run on this seafoam, I'll be doing okay. Okay, it's enough for now. I know I got some in the injectors, so maybe I'll add some water to the cooling system now since I didn't do that yet. Make sure I don't get the block too hot, because I don't know how low it is. It might even be empty. Not quite sure how much of that I missed, but I had to play with the injectors, and I could hear them firing when I opened this up. They would make a totally unique sound when they fired. When they were just dry firing, when there was no fluid coming out, it was completely different than when fluid came out. You could hear it as soon as it opened up. It'd go from a to a. It was crazy sounding, but I digress. Anyway, so that's the part that I probably missed on the video, but that's okay. I'm gonna try and start it again. I think I can get it running off of that can of seafoam. It'll go out on its own. Wow! Hope you saw that. Yep, you totally saw that. Woo! That's why I'm being cautious and making sure I'm spraying it in the throttle body as best I can. Because if I spill a little bit, it's not the end of the world. It'll go out. I do have a fire extinguisher if I really need it, but I'm hoping I can avoid that at all costs. Okay, I am not going to run it anymore. I want to let the seafoam soak in the injectors. I'm sure there's still some in the can because I didn't run it for very long in that last little session. And I'm going to just leave it with pressure in it until it either bleeds out through a small leak on the can or whatever. And then, yeah, I'll be able to put the fuel tank in and we'll get this thing fired up on actual gasoline, hopefully. So I have 2 more cans of seafoam. Once I get the tank put back in the car, I'm going to put 2 cans of seafoam with premium fuel in this thing for the first tank of gas that it's going to go through. That's the only way we're going to get those injectors to clean out. And in fact, even if the motor's bad, I'm probably still going to recommend this lady, as long as it's not too bad. It seems like it runs okay. I'm going to recommend the lady takes and drives the car for at least the 1 tank of gas, and then we'll go through the rebuild she was suggesting doing. Alright, we got a brand new sending unit, a brand new fuel pump, and we are going to get it in here. It is a Bosch pump, I don't remember what brand sending unit this is. I'd have to go find the box. But it was relatively affordable. And the old one was junk, as you've seen in the previous video if you watched it. Looks like we were going to have a lot of extra pieces. So the pump came with some seals. The sending unit came with seals. The pump also came with some connectors. I don't know, I'm hoping I don't have to do a wiring up. Oh, ooh, an adapter. Looks like I got an adapter. I probably won't have to wiring update it. Kind of cool. I got a different connection piece. It's a little odd that they send that along with. I wonder if I'm going to need that. Boy, they sure give a lot of stuff in this thing. Oh, with the spendier pump. I am not sure what in the world those are, but I'll set them aside. I know what this is. That goes right here. Interesting stuff in here. So we got 2 different hoses. One that came with the sender and one that came with the pump. And honestly, the one that came with, I believe that was the one that came with the sender. Looks like a better one. So I got 2 different versions of hose here. If you look at the cords on the end of this hose, this one I believe came with the sender, and this one came with the pump. But look at the amount of cords in this hose here. It has a lot more cording going on in there. So that one's going to be a higher pressure hose, so that's going to be a hose I'm going to use. This one I'm not going to use. I'm just going to set that aside. So let's get the pump out of the bag and get this thing installed. Okay, my previous endeavor here of doing the fuel injectors, that part that you just seen of the fuel injection cleaning, that was done like a week ago. I have it under pressure. I've had it under pressure this whole time. I want to see if it still held the pressure, and if it did, it will also push the seafoam treatment through here. A week is a long time to have seafoam treatment in there. Don't normally do that, but the situation, given the situation, I figured either the injectors are going to be junk or this is going to save them. So I left it in there under pressure in hopes that it'll help break up the stuff when I do start moving fuel across it again. So I'm going to take this hose off, and most likely it's going to leak because I believe it held pressure. Oh, ish. I gotta show you this. Look at the color of this stuff. It's just gross. It's so yellow. I don't know if you guys can really see that well, but that is really yellow stuff. Just nasty what's coming out of there. So, those lines were definitely contaminated with some pretty gross stuff. Well, it held pressure, that's for sure. I gave you a little video glimpse of this stuff coming out, but I don't believe it did justice. So I'm going to show you this way. That stuff is just pure varnish. Doesn't smell too bad though, and I think that's basically because it's seafoam. Yeah, it's mostly seafoam, but the yellow obviously isn't the seafoam. The yellow came from the varnish breaking free in the lines and everywhere else wherever it's been sitting. Alright, I just got done putting a fuel filter in it. I did not show you that. Just a basic fuel filter job. The battery is, or was, dead. I had it charging while I was doing the fuel filter. I accidentally left the thing in neutral. I had the key on because it was in neutral, so I killed the battery, unfortunately. But I'm going to go ahead and try and prime the pump, and it's been on the charger for 15-20 minutes maybe, tops. And I'm going to just give it a shot here. This will be the first time firing the pump up. Let's see if it fires or not. Oh, I heard it. I heard the 2-second prime. And it definitely won't start. It's too dead. So maybe I'll grab a jump pack. Huh. It's like my starter stopped working. So you see the car's in the air now. The starter, I have to replace that apparently. It's bad. It's funny how things like that work. So I was pulling the car out earlier, and in the middle of pulling it out, I go to shut the key off. The antenna's supposed to go down, and it goes down, but it stays down, and it keeps running the little motor. Must have broke something inside there. So I had to rip the dash apart, try and find the connector, disconnect the thing. And now I try and start it, and the starter won't engage. But I did get it to work. I just had to sit there with a switch. I had a little switch, and I backed at the starter with a hammer, and all of a sudden it started to engage, and now it seems to work. So I'm going to go ahead and try and start it for the first time here. Hopefully this time I can actually crank it. I hear the pump. So close, yet so far. Okay, we're going to give it a little bump with some cleaner. It seems like it wants to start, so I'm going to give it a little extra. I'm choking it, I guess you could say. Will it stay running? Maybe? That's right. Got it. Oh, I am going to be done for the day. It's at the end of the day here, but check this out. I got a cloud behind this thing. Just a huge billowing cloud. So that wraps up today's video. At least I got it running. I'm not sure if it'll start under its own power. Woo! But I gotta get out of here. Like, share, subscribe if you want. I don't care. Have a good day, and I'll see you on the next episode of this Firebird that I'm going to be putting up next Friday. Thanks for watching.